know a lot of you guys are working on your own car, and you're working on your own red jacket, and your first team member, and moving up. So I want to just kind of paint that vision. So up on our board, I know it's kind of little, this is not my gift, like decorating stuff. So anybody that's really good at it, you can redo this if you want to. This is my idea of like a really good decorating board. But anyway, so our goal right now, we have 4 beautiful first-line offspring directors. And for us to be our own national area, we need 6 more ladies out of my unit to become directors. So that's what they call first line, okay? And then I need 10 more second line. So that means all of you guys that are in Tina, Melissa, Julie, and Tanya's unit, you guys becoming directors will fill in our second line. So we're looking for 10 women that will step up this year to get their gorgeous suit. Now, have y'all seen the new suit? Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And so we had our great picture from Career Conference. If you guys aren't on Facebook, get on there. I'm sure that it's on your homepage for your director. But get on there and print it off. We want you guys with us. This is how much fun we have. See how crazy we look? We look absolutely nuts. You will not have this much fun at your work meeting and your work, I promise. And they're not going to feel that good and be that nice and really want you to do well. But next year is New Orleans. Leadership, we're going down to New Orleans. January 2014, the gigglers, I know you guys want to go because you're giggling about it already. But we want you guys to be there with us. And I know a lot of you guys in this room have already got that dream in your heart. And so I just want you to just make the decision. So many times in our life, it's just making the decision of what you want. And if that's not what you want right now, if you just want to make some money, and that was me, I am so sorry. Just silence me if you don't care. 3133. Okay. So, anyway, and then this beautiful lady, one woman can. We have our Mary Kay Superwoman. Valerie, stand up. Yay! We were at Lake Keepers Retreat a couple years ago, and we had to dress up. And so Valerie dressed up as Mary Kay Superwoman, okay? She made her Mary Kay belt, and she was going around doing Mary Kay with her arms, and she had the whole 9 yards. So she is on my website for One Woman Can. It's one of those pictures that comes through. But I want y'all to remember, when you're having a bad day, you know when you're a red jacket, you always get power panties. That's kind of a tradition in our areas to get red power panties, because when a day, or briefs, you know, you can do briefs too. We'll get you when you're having a bad day, you just put on those power panties, and no matter what's happening, you just put on your big girl panties and you go on and do it. Okay, you're a big boy Bruce, whichever. I don't have to change my conversation that much out. It's very interesting. So I want you to think about Valerie. When you have a day that you're thinking, oh, I don't know, I want you to think, be bold, that's our motto, and one woman can. Because Mary Kay proved that to us years ago, didn't she, that one woman really can. All right, has anyone ever told you no? If you say no, you're lying.
Or you don't on the phone.
You've not, exactly. Or, yeah, you're a brand new consultant. Have you ever asked somebody more than once and they told you no?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you asked somebody like for a year and they politely told you no over and over again? Okay. Well, I want to give you guys hope, because so much greatness and so many things come from sometimes a no. Our first director in her future area came from a no. Beautiful Miss Tina Sutherland. There was a skincare class that I tried to book for 2 years. Not once, not twice, 2 years. I went into the bank, and there was this beautiful lady at the bank, and I wanted to book her, and I kept asking, and she kept saying no. I told her the same thing for the last 2 years. Hey, you know you can get $75 worth of Mary Kay for only $35. You can get $40 free. All you have to do is have 2 people there. I've used the same program, you guys, for years. You don't have to have a newfangled hostess plan. I've used the Mary Kay hostess plan since I started, and it still works. I told her over and over again. She kept saying, no. Well, finally, after 2 years, I said the same thing. I said, 75 for 35. And she was like, oh, you mean I can get 40 free? And I covered up my surprise. I'm like, you can. I didn't say, I've been telling you that for 2 years. I didn't say that. I said, sure. I said, yeah, $40. She goes, oh, well, I will so do that. Okay, so I got her on my date book right then. I said, you know what? Because I knew my schedule in my head. I knew that I held appointments on this night and this night. And this is when I was a new little, I think I just earned my Grand Prix. I wasn't in my Cadillac yet. I think I was in my Grand Prix at that time. And I booked her, and it was in kind of a bad part of town. And I remember going to the class, and there was this, she was super sweet though, but I told her, I said, you have to have 2 people there. But when I got there, how many did she have?
2.
2. I didn't tell her she had 5. I should have said 5. But I told her she had to have 2 to get her hostess credit. She had 2 people there. Well, part of my hostess credit was if she had at least 2 bookings, she would get a half price item for each booking, okay? So how many bookings did she have? 2, okay? Well, the one lady that booked, I'd never met her, name was Angie, and she booked a class with me, and I did what I was supposed to do. I just, along the way, you guys, if you will just do what you're supposed to do, pre-profile, get the guest list, if you'll just do those simple things, you will go so far in your business. And so I just did what I was supposed to do. I got the guest list. I started pre-profiling. Well, when I got the guest list, she said, now, wait a minute, I'm going to tell you about this one person that's coming. It's my daughter-in-law. And she is so mad at me for having this class. And I said, oh, okay, why? What's going on? She said, well, she has Avon. And I said, well, that's okay. I said, she can make more money with me. And she went, oh. So somebody gives you an obstacle of my niece does whatever company, just say, oh, great, she can make more money with me. So she said, okay, great, Charles, I'll tell her that. So instead of saying, oh, well, she'll be all right, or don't invite her, I said, yeah, she can make more money with me. So she talks to her, the girl comes.
You called me. You pre-profiled me. Do you remember that call?
No, tell me about it. She's the one that did Avon, okay?
Yeah. So I get this call. Hi, all this peppiness, and I'm like, hi. She's like, well, I'm having the party with Angie tomorrow night, blah, blah, blah. And Angie seems to think that you'd be really great at doing what I do. And I go, well, she's crazy because I'm busy. And I just don't have, well, I'd like to just share the facts with you. I go, well, I just don't really have any time. And she's like, well, how about tomorrow at the, and I go, yeah, okay, I'll see you tomorrow at the thing. I felt so horrible. I'll tell you the backdrop of that once I got to the party. I was like, yeah, I really do want to talk to you about this. But I remember you calling. I'm thinking, I'm going to kill Angie.
Well, and I could hear it in her voice, and I thought, okay, I'll work on her tomorrow when we get there. She was mad. So we get to the party. She didn't pay attention to anything. She was talking to her friend at the skincare class. We had I swear there was 20 people. And the size of the kitchen was like from this table to that wall. Okay, this square. That was the kitchen. We had about 20 people, literally. Angie wanted hostess credit. She was motivated to get free product. This was Tina's mother-in-law. So we had tons of people crammed in this little thing. Individual consultations probably weren't. I was thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I've got 20 people. I need to pray for about 5 minutes with each person. So, buddy, I was going through the class like 90 miles an hour. And it was funny because they kept going, what's she saying? They're like, will you shut up? I can't hear her. What are we doing? What are we doing now? What are you putting on? And I just kept going. I didn't stop. I just kept going. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if I survive this class, this is going to be a great Mary Kay story. And it is a great Mary Kay story. So we sat down at the end, and I said, you know, I don't know if you've ever thought about doing something like this. I mean, your mother-in-law told me you work with, you do some Avon. You can make more money with me. And I remember what she said. She said, I've got 2 questions. And I said, okay. She's very direct. She said, how much is it and will you help me? And I said, it's $100 and yes. She said, okay. Got started, got her inventory, and boom, the rest is history. And a lot of you guys don't know Tina's story. So Tina, if you'll just take just a minute to just share a little bit about your journey of what Mary Kay has meant to you, or just something you would like to share with them from that. So a no for 2 years, okay? Somebody telling me no for 2 years. I didn't give up. Blessed me with a relationship, and a relationship with women that I would have never met in this room had I not met Tina. So
well, the backdrop of really the upbringing of what I was searching for in my life, I was 22 at the time. And my mom, I had grown up with a single mom, and so she constantly there were times and periods in life when she was working 2 jobs, sometimes 3. There were definitely days when I would wake up to go to school and she would already be gone to her first job, and there would be times when I would go to bed at night and have one of my friends' moms drop me off at night. I'd always ride with them. I'd go on vacations with my friends' parents, and Mom just really taught me great work ethic because she never said we can't have anything. She would always just say, well, how much do we need? Let me see if I can pick up extra hours, or she'd go get another job. And so I really learned my work ethic from her, but I didn't miss her. a whole lot of the time. And so for me, I knew very young, I had created this list of things that I was going to do. I don't know if anybody else made a list when you were younger. And my list was I was going to do all the things society said was going to make everything perfect. I was going to go to college. I was going to get my piece of paper. I was going to get my job. That was going to make me really wealthy because, see, when you grow up crunched for money, you usually are always thinking about money when it's the thing you don't have. I noticed that when I went to eat with my friends' parents that they paid for me, and I noticed when people went to eat with me and my mom, they paid for themselves. So, I mean, I figured all these things out without Mom actually saying them. And so I tried that list, and I went to school, got my piece of paper, hated what I was doing, not the people I worked with or anything like that. Just, I realized I wasn't working in my gift. I had sought a degree for money, and so it was very miserable. And so at 22, to realize that and go, crap, I'm already this much in student loan repayment, and so what do? I either get another job or I go back to school. So I went back to school, get some more loans, right? And I was going to go back for business management because I realized that the lifestyle I wanted was the owner of the company's lifestyle. We had been on pay freezes for like 2 or 3 years. I did human resources. And yet he would still walk by my desk, and I loved Henry. I mean, I still to this day respect the man, just not some of his business sense. But he would walk by my desk, and he would say, I need you to book me and Todd and Andrea and everybody a flight and the grandkids to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii for 2 weeks. Here's the date, here's the time. And so, like, there was just this epiphany. Have you ever had, like, an epiphany moment, just like where you wake up, it's like all of a sudden you have an out-of-body experience, and I'm going, and I looked around, like, at me and Alice and all those of us that were in the office, and I'm like, we're making his dream come true. Like, we don't get raises. I've been firing people. I've been laying people off. But this man, because of his choices, because he's the owner, he gets to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. He calls the shots. And that was the moment I started to desire freedom over money. Because I started to realize that the financial freedom wasn't ever supposed to be the goal. It was the choices that you made to become someone could give you the freedom to do what you're supposed to be doing in life. And that was ultimately God uses that to provide for you, which comes in the financial reward. So I was praying to win the lottery too, I won't lie. But, or like, you know, I remember when I found out that dead people could die and we could have money that we didn't know about, I would check that site every week, the U.S. Treasury Board. And so I was going back to school, and that's when Angie called me and said, I'm having a Mary Kay party. I'm like, what? Like, I've been slinging me some Avon and really just, I was in the President's Club there. If you've got anybody in Avon, I'll go on the interview with you. But anyway, I just had never, I've been in Avon for 2 years, and I thought, you know, Mary Kay, I kind of laughed at it, because I didn't really know anything about it. And I literally wanted to kill Angie when Holly called me, and I go, you're crazy, I'm already going back to school, I'm working full-time, and I'm doing Avon. Like, why would you think I would want to do it? She's like, well, I don't know, you know, just come and see. Well, then I went to the party, and it was crazy. And I was late. And I felt sorry when I walked by, because I didn't, like, have a sticker on my car that said Avon or anything, and I thought, oh, look, this poor lady's got a Mary Kay sticker on her car. It was a free car. I didn't know it. I thought she had a sticker. I thought she went and got a decal.
Door.
Yeah, I thought it was decal.
I may have had one on my granddad.
Yeah, well, it was, well, no, it was the real Mary Kay. I thought you went and bought it and put it on there.
Yes.
And I thought, but anyway, it was about halfway through the party. I was the last individual consultation that night because I was watching what everybody was buying. Because these were a lot of the poor men's in town. So they are farmers, and these are people that just don't wear makeup on a daily basis. And we all looked good.
Nice clothes.
Yes. It was like $670 to be exact. I counted. And so, like, I was watching what they were buying, but not because I really cared what they bought. I wanted to know I knew how much money everything was in those bags, and so I was adding it up. And I wanted hardwood floors at that point in my life, and so that's what I equated it to. She made my weekly paycheck in an hour and a half since we had been there. She did get through that class really fast. And I watched them leave there with product, which is why I got product. Let me tell you that, because they bought more because Holly had the product on hand. And so I saw this whole great concept, and literally I did ask her those 2 questions, and that's where life kind of started. My epiphany moment in Mary Kay was I came in and I got my first suit I ever had owned in my life, and it was lime green. I don't know if you remember it.
I do. It's cute.
I might remember it too, because we all went. Y'all told me just to get ready and pick me up at Angie's, and I went to Cato's and got me a suit on the little discount rack, because we were broke. I looked good, but I was broke. And you all picked me up, and we went to Linda Tupin's event, and Pam Shaw was there. It was the Pace Setters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are all these people in these red jackets? But they seemed really important, so I'm thinking, they must be something. And then, like, I watched all these women come on the stage. Pam Shaw brought them all up on the stage, and they all had the same suits on, and it was all of you all. And then I figured, like, I knew that, okay, well, they must all be directors, because when your recruiter is a director, it's like a whole other world sometimes, you know, like, because there wasn't a middle person in between me and Holly. And I remember Pam Shaw just saying, do they have anything that you all sitting in the audience don't have, or that you can't get? And so that day in that audience, I remember thinking, like, this is the lifestyle I want. Like, God, could this really be what I've been praying for? Like, I wanted to raise kids but be highly successful. I don't want to leave them like my mom left me, but I have this, I'm a determined, driven person, so I knew I could never just be that stay at home, let me love on the kids and rock them from the morning till the night mom. I would go crazy. I needed a purpose, and I always had felt that. And that was the first time where I was really like, you think so? And then from that moment on, I just thought, Holly, you tell me to do it. I didn't even think. I was kind of too dumb to doubt. So I just thought, if Holly tells me to do it, that's what I'll do. So either I'm going to prove her wrong and this company wrong, or it's going to work. And I remember people at the meeting going, what are you doing? I'm going, just what Holly told us to do last week. Why didn't you do it? You know, then you have a brown too. I mean, it really wasn't that hard. So, I mean, that was really, God just unfolded more than hardwood floors. But it's neat because God will meet you. That's why when you're interviewing people, I think sometimes don't try to take them everywhere. Meet them where they're at. Because if, you know, Holly would have talked to me about other things. I mean, that time in my life, I wanted those 2 questions answered. And she didn't back them up. She didn't over-explain them. She said, yes, I'll help you. It's $100. She shut her mouth, you know. And then I said, okay, well, here we go. And then, you know, when all I wanted was hardwood floors, that was okay. And then when I changed it, it was okay. So I think just meeting people where they're at and realizing He'll lead you to something for one reason, and sometimes if He gave you the whole vision at one time, you'd shut down. So sometimes He's just got to slowly give it to you, and you got to feel like you're the one that opens it, not someone else pushing it on you. So just remembering that when you're talking with people and as they're growing too. So thank you for putting up. Holly put up with a lot. Y'all don't even know. One time she owed me a prize for like a week, and I said, do you need me to come work in your office? And then, you remember that? I said, it seems like you're really busy, and so if you need me to come work, what'd you say back? Something like,
I said no.
no. I look back and I'm like, oh man. Yeah, because I had no idea. I thought she's making all the money. She ain't working. She can get my prize, you know. But a little did I know. I'm just very. Thank you for putting up with what you put up with.
When we were new consultants, it's all about us. You know, we're thinking about us. And as you go up the career path, you take that spotlight off yourself and you shine it on others. So, yeah, I remember a lot of those conversations. I remember that green suit, too, and it was very cute.
And cotton candy eyeshadow. I might have been
Cotton candy, but it was
that was my eyeshadow that day.
So now by Tina stepping out of her comfort zone, well, not even necessarily stepping out of her comfort zone, but going out on faith and trying something new. There's people in this room that were affected by that.
Oh, yes. So then my first interview, you know, your pearls of sharing. So you got your pearls of sharing. And so Holly told me my first interview was not really an interview. It was my girlfriend Alice at work that was broke with me. And I said, give me $100, we're doing this thing. So she gave me $100.
Yeah.
I was in Dallas.
And then steakhouse. We met at the steakhouse. It was John Michaels.
Well, that was when we were trying to recruit Cindy, and Cindy didn't come in. That was me, Alice, and Cindy, and you.
Okay.
Yeah, because they didn't cook your steak right. I remember what Cindy had.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well done.
And it was pink. So Alice was my first recruit, and then Crystal was this other girl named Crystal was my second. But so they didn't really count for Pearls of Sharing because they just recruited. We didn't interview them. So my first interview was one of my first parties. I played bunco back then, and I played bunco with a bunco group, and there was a lady there named Crystal that was in the bunco group. And I thought, well, she'll be awesome. She was a hairdresser, hairstylist, whatever name you want to give her. And I thought she'd be great for a party. So she had a party out of sympathy for me because she didn't even want her hostess credit at the end of the party. Okay, and so she's like, no, I don't really like me. I'm like, well, you can use on some makeup, or no, it's okay, just don't really. So I'm like, well, I thought, well, this would be a perfect person for my pearls, right? My first Pearls of Sharing. So I thought, this is when you just like, unless somebody bluntly tells me stop, I don't ever stop. Like that's my thing. If you're afraid of being pushy, don't be afraid of being pushy. They should come up to you and say, stop it, if they don't want you to do it, right? So I don't even, like, unless you tell me, I'm like, oh, well, I never know, you never told me. So I asked Crystal if she would do the Pearls of Sharing with me. So we get on through what I call Holly. Holly goes through her little whole spiel. This is all I really remember. And I'm trying not to exaggerate, Crystal, so you can help me if I am. But at the end of the call, I just remember, no, I don't need any money. No, I don't really need a free car. No, I'm not really interested. No, nothing that really Mary Kay could do for me. So I'm like, okay. So at the end of the call, I'm like, well, Holly? She's like, well, you just earn a car and show her, okay? And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds good. So fast forward a year from then, we were on our way to my first seminar, and I had earned my first pink Cadillac. And I'd earned 3 cars that first year, and I remember sending my PCP, getting my PCP out, and the bronzing powder had just come out, for those of you that were Mary Kay back then. And we had that bronze lip gloss, and it was that whole sun look. And so I get a call, and it's Crystal, and she got her book, and she wanted to try the bronzing powder. And so she came over to the house, and the pink Cadillac was in the driveway. And I remember her walking in my...
Did you have the Cadillac?
It was in the driveway. Because you walked in the office, we were in my office, and you're like, wow, so how's this thing going? Like, she's same personality style as me, very high D personality. And I'm like, so we play this, I'm like, it's okay, it's pretty good, you know, pink Cadillac, whether it was in the driveway or not, I think I told her. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, I'd given her this Choices CD to listen to before our phone call, too, and she had listened to it that one time. And so I'm like, you know what? I'll play this little fishing game. So I'm like, you know what? I really need a model for when I get back from my from seminar or whatever. And she's like, well, maybe I will. And I go, well, I'll check and see if I got a spot. I think I'm, you know. And so then I called her, and so I had a spot open. So she came to the meeting. Into the meeting, she's gone. I'm like looking for her. I'm like, where the heck is Crystal? Like, she just like left the meeting before, like, I thought she think we were gonna lock her in. And so, anyways, she called me, or I called her after the meeting, and she goes, you know that CD, I never did listen to it. Could you drop one off in my mailbox tonight? And I'm like, you didn't listen to that CD. You told me you did. And so I did, and then from Crystal, stand up. So Crystal's here today. And from Crystal, literally, trickle-down effect. Jean is Crystal's. And right, so first was Nikki Atkins, and then Nikki is Julie Potts, and
These are all
Nikki Everman came from that, and that trickled down. And then Jean, and then from Jean we've got amazing new team members, and Jean has had $21,000 weeks. 22. Oh. I need to get that bar pin. Crystal has been for years, and this is what I love about working when you can, so that it takes care of you when you have it. Crystal's been a Red Jacket sustainably and taking care of just her customers literally for the last, what, Crystal, 5-6 years? More than that. Well, 9 years total, but 6 years with still going out, and she's one of the main teachers at Barrett's, instructors at Barrett's down here, and still has a business, gets a commission check from the company every month, and takes care of her customers. And when I walked in, about died that she was here, because she knows my love for her, my belief in her, and it's amazing the ripple effect that's come from her, because it's not, and it's
She would be
Julie and
surprised. She would be so surprised. Our whole unit has somehow been touched by her.
been touched, yeah, by the ripple effect of someone that said no, they didn't need anything, and someone that I still gave her a PCP book. You know, just God's hand is always over that, and literally probably a third of our unit has trickled down from her. And then Marcia is a personal team member of mine that said no for a year, and then we sat on my porch one day, and she finally, with the porch swing, and we just had a real deep talk, and she said yes, and she's probably one of the most inspirational people that I absolutely know my whole life. But I think for the people that are here, everything's trickled down. That's where Patches has come from, and Christina's come from. Personal team members. I mean, that's really a lot of the unit of mine has trickled down from very strong personal team members that then went on to affect it. And it's neat to me, because Crystal sometimes will never know this side of heaven, like who really sits in that unit meeting every week and their lives have changed because you said yes. And because you dared to share with people that you shared with. You make a big difference even though you're physically not there sometimes, and you physically come back anytime you want to.
So I want y'all to think about that. Is there somebody in your life that's been telling you no? Don't give up on them. There may be a reason that she's telling you no. We were talking about this earlier. I said, Tina, it's so funny that it took me 2 years to book her. She said, Holly, I wasn't married to Greg 2 years before that. You wouldn't have met me if she would have booked. So there was a plan. It was the right time. When she booked her party, it was the right time for her mentally. It was the right time for me to talk to her. So just have faith and keep working. So I want you guys to think about this. So a lot of our national area came from a no and a no, okay? Our next gorgeous, our second director, She came second, like chronologically, a couple years later. And her feature area also came from a No, the beautiful Miss Melissa No. Her last name's No. And you know what? Melissa was so precious. She had a business on Main Street. And so I needed to get my newsletter. That was back when we didn't email newsletters. We actually printed them and mailed them and stuff. Now we save a lot of money. We save a lot. We have very little expenses as a director now compared to 5 years ago.
Very well.
And I remember walking in and I thought, oh my gosh, how many of you guys just salivate at business owners, women business owners? If you don't, you need to start. Because those women know how to get things done. They don't care to work hard and they want more out of life. You need to be looking for CEOs and women that are big thinkers. Those are the women that you want to recruit. Those are the women that once they get into the business, you pat them on the back every once in a while. You don't have to do a lot with them because they know how to do things. And I remember the first time I met her, she had beautiful long blonde hair. She was just like her daughter. She had that beautiful long blonde hair, and her little husband, he was there working with her. And I thought, wow, they're a team. She's got a business. And so I asked her, I said, Melissa, have you ever thought about doing something like Mary Kay? Oh, I did that years ago, but no, my dream is to franchise. I'm gonna have this tax business and my accounting business, and I'm gonna be all over the country. And I said, okay. And I just smiled, and I thought, I'm not giving up on her. So how long was it that I asked? She was a customer, loved the product.
I was a Mary Kay orphan, and that's when when I found out she was in Mary Kay, I immediately knew that I wanted some Mary Kay product. But you worked on me almost 3 years.
Okay.
You would come in and you would ask me how things were going, and you would have that little grin and that I still see in my mind all the time.
Did you ever feel uncomfortable when I asked?
No.
Okay,
I actually
that's
felt
what you
flattered.
need to get in your, okay, did you hear that? That's when you need to get in your head. When you have asked someone and they told you no, when they politely ask you again, what did she say she felt? She felt flattered that I wanted her to be on my team. And so you need to voice that to people. I would love to have you on my team. You're the kind of woman I need on my team. Women don't hear that every day, you guys. They don't hear that from other people. So what was the turning point for you? What made you say, yeah, let's try it?
The turning point for me was, I was, an accountant, and I was calculating budgets and figuring out how much I was spending on Mary Kay, for one thing, and,
Very good skincare customer.
yeah, because I loved it all, and, I figured out that I was spending quite a bit of money, and decided, well, maybe I should just do this just to get my stuff at cost, because she'd already went through the marketing with me, plus I'd been in it before, and I knew that I could save a ton of money just on myself.
And I'm gonna pause right there for a second. This was her third time in Mary Kay, okay? She'd been in Mary Kay before as a single mom and was the sole support of her 2 girls and took care of all their bills with just her sales. And when she told me that, you talk about, I'm surprised it wasn't running down my face, like, oh, I'm so on her now. So she had done that before. She knew the business worked, okay? Not as a recruiter, just selling the product. She paid all of her bills. And it had been years before.
It was years before. I had one recruit that I had forgotten about. I had my pearl necklace, and back then, pearl necklace was like 3 strands. It was
Okay.
cool. I still have it. It was
Oh.
gorgeous. But, it was all on sales. And then, of course, the second time was just a few months before I reconnected with my high school sweetheart, whom I'm married to now. I didn't have time for anything but him. And so this time, I really believe that God put it in my heart. I figured I could save some money, and that's all I was gonna do. That was it.
She was gonna be, and she was for a couple of years, just ordered her product at cost. So if you've got someone that says, oh, I'm just gonna do it for myself, but you've got that feeling that maybe they're just either afraid to say they wanna try it, don't be afraid to go ahead and recruit them, because I believe in them even when they don't, and they may just not wanna voice it. So I knew there was a giant down inside of her, and I'm so proud of her because she has just exploded with growth. I've got lots of funny stories about her and Tanya. We won't go into a lot of those. We got some great stories about her and Tanya. Growing up as DIQs together was so much fun to watch. So Melissa, tell us, I know, as far as like girls in your unit, because I know you've had girls that came just from what? Because you were telling us you were sharing back there.
I just decided to do my own facials and parties. I didn't rely on any of my team, because at that time I didn't even have a team. But Holly said that you need to book 8 parties and hold them within 2 weeks. Or maybe it was 10 and hold 8 within 2 weeks. And I remember doing that, but I was extremely shy and I really didn't want to get into doing a whole lot. But I did want to make a little extra money after I, thought about it. So it was just basically just doing the parties, and I had fun. I had a lot of fun. I still have I have more fun today doing parties than I did back then. But it was just doing my own, facials and my own parties.
So she worked out of faith. We told her, you need to go have appointments, and what'd she do? She did that. And you heard that from Tina too. She just said, Holly, what do I need to do? She didn't doubt what I said, because she knew I was driving a car, so obviously I was doing something right. So she just didn't doubt and didn't try to recreate the wheel. She didn't recreate a new hostess plan. She didn't recreate how to move up the career path. They just did what Mary Kay has proven over and over again works. When you have appointments, you will move up. And so a big portion of her unit is just from her personal activity, doing her appointments, doing her faces. How many of you guys know it's a very comforting feeling not to have to depend on anybody? If you are willing to do appointments and you are willing to see faces and to bless other women with our fabulous product, if you will do that 30 to 40 faces every month, you will never, and I promise you, you will never have to depend on anyone ever in your business. So if you think I need a guaranteed paycheck, it's in your hands. If you do 30 to 40 faces every month and work it full circle, do your interviews along with that, you're in complete control of it. That's when I realized it was a great thing. I was in control of it. So let's give it up for Melissa. I'm so proud of her. Now, our third director is not here today, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Our third director and her future area. Mom, do you care to answer that? That's, or call Aaron back. He's probably wondering where Emma goes to softball. Or you can just climb back on your phone. I think I just locked it again.
Okay.
Emma knows where to go, so she can tell me.
Of course she does.
Of course. She is just like Reagan. You know, my daughter's 7, and she basically could have run this meeting since she was 4. And, yeah, her brother's 14, Caden's in 8th grade. And you know who's in charge at my house?
Yeah.
It's Emma.
Yeah.
Caden, you need to go brush your teeth, go wash your face. Mom said we're getting ready to leave. I mean, poor Caden, I feel sorry for him sometimes. But anyway, before she goes to bed, Mom, come here, give me kisses, Mom, come on. I'm like, I guess she's just like reversing the role. Anyway, our third director in her future area came from a warm chatter. So, if you are scared to talk to people, just know that a big portion of your future national area, yours, could come from talking to a stranger, from stepping out of your comfort zone and being bold. And this lady told me no several times. She was a personal trainer. She owned her own gym. She was running constantly. But I saw a business owner. I saw an entrepreneur. And again, I started thinking, I want her. You ever had that feeling? You see somebody, you're like, oh, she needs to be on my team. I want her on my team. Tell them that. We had met at Doll Hairs, and she had on her workout outfit. She always was in workout clothes. And I remember approaching her, and she was like, oh my gosh, I used Mary Kay years ago. Love the product. So that was a key thing, too. The product, if you will share the product, people will recruit close to the product. I said, hey, I'd love to talk to you about this business. Oh, no, I just opened my gym. I'm running. Told me no several times. Well, I just knew she'd be great. She finally said, well, you know what? Why not? I'll give it a shot. She had a husband that was extremely negative, was extremely mean to her, but was extremely negative. And she did it anyway. She was like, you know what? That's okay. And so many obstacles she had to overcome in her business, you guys. And I'm so proud of Julie. She has had health struggles. This past year, she did quarter-sales for the first time. And she was so sick. Instead of going to seminar and getting her ring on stage, she was in the hospital for a week. She didn't even get to go to Dallas, didn't get to get her ring on stage. So her dear friend Tanya got her ring for her, brought it home from Dallas, and put it on her finger. And I bet she squealed like crazy.
Oh, she
didn't
did. She did. Well, I took her out that day because she couldn't drive, so we went to everybody in town so Julie could show her ring to all her customers.
And see, she couldn't drive. She was too sick. But what did she do? She got out anyway. And I know so many of you guys were inspired at January Jumpstart by her story. I've heard over and over again how inspired you were because Julie did it anyway. She didn't feel like it, But she did it anyway, and she's been doing it anyway, and I'm so proud of her. She's had so many obstacles to overcome. But came from a no, okay? All right? So far, we've had 2 directors that came from a no. These 2 directors, Tina and Melissa, both my personal recruits, okay? You need more personal recruits, you'll have more offspring directors, okay? Out of my 4 offspring directors, 3 are my personals, okay? All right. So, our 4th director in her future area came from a skincare class, but let me explain. I met an officer's wife, okay, after my husband had been hurt in the line of duty at a FOP meeting. We decided, when my husband got hurt, I didn't know any of the officers, I didn't know the officers' wives, I didn't even know the sheriff, I knew no one. He was a new officer when he got hurt, and so after he got hurt, we kind of thought, you know what, we probably need to make sure that we know each other in case something were to happen, so we can kind of build this bond together. So there was this beautiful lady, gorgeous, and she had 2 kids, and they were little, and they were climbing all over her. And I remember thinking, oh, she seems so sweet. I'd love to have her on my team. But I was really nervous to talk to her. I was driving my Grand Prix at the time, my beautiful silver Grand Prix. It was so hot. It was wide track. I loved that car. That was my second car of Mary Kay. You all seen this is my picture of my first car. If y'all haven't seen this after the meeting, you need to come up and look. Yes, I have on sandal flip-flops and a black skirt. I'm not sure what I was thinking. But it's a Grand Am, and you can see how little Caden is. He was 2. So there's Sammy and myself.
He's over
and
6
Caden.
foot now.
Yeah, so it's funny. But anyway, so I was so nervous to talk to her. But I did it anyway. I thought, you're not going to get anywhere unless you're bold, so you better talk to her. And so she had gone to her car, and I was still getting my nerve up. So I'm pulling out, and I thought, no, I stopped the car. And I had Julie Weaver's tapes in there. Tapes. I had a tape, and it was Julie's Weaver. It was her story. It's called The Mother Insanity Plan, how she was just working like crazy. And a lot of you all know Julie Weaver. She's the #1 director in the world. And I love Julie. She's in Louisville, Kentucky, one of our dear friends. But I just thought, if I get sick, I'll puke outside the car, and I'm going to hand her the tape. So I handed her the tape, and I said, you know what, Kathy, I don't know if this would be ever anything you'd ever consider doing in a million years, but I need to get opinions of this new tape. Would you just listen? She's like, yeah, I'll listen. She was a respiratory therapist, super sharp, just sweet. She listened, called me, and said, you know what, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it for me. I'm going to do it because my best friend needs to hear about it. So she signed up, became a team leader within like a month. 5 recruits, because she had a giving heart. She was there to mentor, to inspire other people to start. So Mary Kay wasn't necessarily her journey, but it was her making that decision of yes, affecting the other people. So she recruited her best friend, who became a director and did Unit Club her first year, 3 cars her first year, and was able to get out of a horrible marriage financially. Her husband had told her he'd been paying the mortgage, and he hadn't. For 2 months. They were 2 months behind when she started. This is Kathy's best friend in Greenup. This is why she signed up, because she wanted her best friend to have this. She didn't know all this was going on with her best friend, okay? But she just had this gut feeling that Michelle needed to hear about it. So her first 2 weeks in the business, she sold $1,300 her first week, because half that money was 1 month of mortgage. The second week she sold $1,200. Half that was the second month of mortgage. She caught up her mortgage in 2 weeks. They were in a bad place. But Mary Kay was her ticket out. She developed our whole area in Greenup County and Ashland, Kentucky, and Huntington, West Virginia, Portsmouth, Ohio. We got a big portion of our future national area just because Michelle got out of a bad situation, okay? And that Kathy said yes. Then Kathy recruited her sister. Her sister is awesome, top hairstylist, incredible girl. Her sister recruited a friend named Jennifer Hessler. Well, Jennifer just did what she was supposed to. I told her to hold classes, so she did. She held pedicure. She had a pedicure party and invited these ladies to a pedicure party. So one of the ladies she invited to the pedicure party was Tanya Sarton. So come on up here, Miss Tanya. I know you got some funny memories of that, but Jennifer just did what she was supposed to. She invited people.
She didn't invite me.
Okay.
It was a friend of a friend. They said, oh, they're doing this Mary Kay thing, come over.
Okay, so she was invited because Jennifer said, if you bring a friend
Bring a
with you.
friend.
And so they did. I was the friend. She was the friend.
Who came to get a lipstick?
She was buying one lipstick, I remember that.
Because I didn't use Mary Kay.
So tell us just a little bit real quick, about 5 minutes about your journey and where a lot of your unit has come from.
Okay. Well, it's so neat that you tell that story because I find it so neat that I'm the one director out of all of us who didn't come from being a personal recruit. And, you know, like I said, it was so neat there because when I got started, well, I mean, actually back then, like I said, I didn't use any Mary Kay products. I had used a lipstick that I got at either a yard sale or a flea market years and years and years ago. And I love the color, and somebody told me they were having a Mary Kay party. I was like, oh, I'd get that lipstick again. So I went to the Mary Kay party just for that. And it was a pedicure party. We didn't put nothing on our face. That's just all it was. And, you know, and I was kind of negative about direct sales anyway because I had just done direct sales. I had been a Premier Jewelry jeweler the year before that. So anyway, I went. Jennifer was great. She did the party great and everything. And she got finished and she did her job. She had her individual consultations with all of us and went to buy my lipstick. And of course, they didn't make that color anymore. And so she sent me to the bathroom with samples. I figured out what I wanted, bought my lipstick. And then she's like, great, you know, let's book your second appointment so you can get some free product. And I'm thinking, what? And she's like, oh, well, we'll do, oh gosh, what was that party called? Trading Faces.
Trading
She goes, let's trade faces. I'm like, yeah, cool, that sounds like fun, whatever. So I was like, sure. So I booked it with her. And she's like, oh, by the way, you know, I'm working on getting opinions from people. You know, I can tell she didn't really want to give them up. She's like, you know, if you'll take this CD and listen to it. And I was like, yeah, sure. Got my car, it got pitched in the back. Didn't listen to it. Because she would call me like 2 days. She did her job. She called me 2 days later, and she's like, great, how you loving your new Raisinberry lipstick? It's like, yeah, it's great. I'm thinking, it's lipstick. Why would you ask me what it's about? I'm like, it's lipstick. I was like, yeah, it's great. And she goes, did you listen to that CD? No, I haven't had time for that yet. Okay, well, I'll give you a call back in a couple days. She called me again in a couple days.
She did what
She did what she was supposed to do. And I said, no, I haven't listened to that yet. And I thought, gosh, she's going to keep calling me if I don't listen to that CD. Yes. So at the time, I was getting ready to start student teaching. I was in college for the third time. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, a master's degree. And because my first thing, as Tina said, you know, I did that and didn't really like because I wasn't paid what I was worth, and I thought I should make more money to be more successful. So I thought, that didn't work, so let's go teach school. That'll be great. I don't know what I was thinking with that. So I just thought teaching school would be great, so I went to school to do that. And I was getting ready to start student teaching in the community, and that's about the time that all this happened. So I was teaching VBS at church at that time, and yeah, me teaching small children. Yeah, I don't know about that, but anyway, that's what I did back then. So anyway, we went there, and I remember I listened to it on the way to VBS that night. And I was like, oh, that sounds kind of neat. And of course, I'd just come out of direct sales, had no support whatsoever in the direct selling business I was in. You know, just pretty much I had nobody to ever teach me what I was supposed to do. So I was just trying to figure it out on my own. It was pretty much, you know, here's your stuff. You have parties, you sell it, you enter your parties, and this is what you keep. And I'm like, okay. And then, you know, it worked good for the first couple months, but then you ran out of all your friends really fast, and nobody taught me how to meet new people. And of course, in other businesses, you know, when you sell a product that doesn't go down the drain every day, it's stuff that you have to constantly go out and meet new people all the time, and nobody ever taught me how to do that. So that was my big thing. I mean, when Jennifer called me and we finally did talk about the CD I listened to, I mean, I remember later she's like, gosh, you asked me the weirdest questions. She did. She told me, because I was like, okay, now what does this Mary Kay thing cost again in a year? And she's like, what? And I said, what do I have to pay again to sign up in a year? Because that's what they do in Premier. You sign up every year, and you pay another fee to sign up for their business every single year, no matter what. And she's like, nothing. If you just sell product, you buy your kit. And I'm like, okay. I was like, okay. And then second, you know, are you just going to leave me hanging? What are you going to do? And she's like, oh, no, we have success meetings and et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, okay. Then let's do it. You know, because I'm just, you know me, I'm kind of fly by night. That's just kind of my thing. So I said, okay, let's do it. And of course, you know, got started and everything. Inventory was a very interesting decision too, because, and I tell everybody this, you need to know people's personalities when you're bringing them into the business, because if you do meet I personalities, which is my style, I'm a very high I.
No.
Yeah, all you need to do is show them the store brochure with all the prizes in it, because that's what Holly did with me. She didn't really know my personality that well yet, but she went to the one first that said, oh, if you sell so many lipsticks, that'll pay for this one. And I'm like, you know, but then later on she's like, oh, by the way, there's this brochure in your kit. And I pulled that out. I was like, ooh. So I went through that whole thing, and I was like, ooh. I was like, well, this is the cheapest amount of money I can spend to get a prize still. Yeah. So that's why I did an 1800. So I was a Sapphire Star when I started. Yeah. So that's how I decided my inventory at that time. No other reason, just, oh, you get a prize if you do this one. And it's the cheapest prize I can get, you know. So anyway, so that's kind of how I got started. But as far as like moving up the career path and the people that I've met, it's so funny when we're talking about the no's and all that today, because a lot of my personal unit were no's that I had talked to. Like, I've got some really superstars in my unit right now that were people that I had done multiple classes with. You know, they were great customers. They'd met me online. And that's even when I lived here. They were up there, but yet I still marketed back in my hometown. So, I mean, like Denise Walker in my unit, she was a customer of mine for 3-4 years. She would come, you know, when I did events, she would have classes for me. And I think at that time, I wasn't even living back up there yet. I think I was contemplating where I was gonna go. And I did another event at the library. She'd come multiple times and we got done. And of course, she was on everything by then. She had all the product. So we got finished. I was closing her out and I was like, great, you know, what do you want to take home with you tonight? And I remember she said, oh, I want that microderm and a kit. And she goes, and your face just went. So anyway, so that's where one of mine came from. But, you know, like I said, I absolutely love this business. Now, it was so funny when Tina was talking about freedom and flexibility and the choices that you have, because, you know, my biggest thing, and I tell people, is find your why. Why do you do this? Because, you know, people will disappoint you over and over and over again. Of course, the numbers never lie. But when we're in that place that we're thinking, oh gosh, I don't have any activity, I don't have any appointments, you've got to get out there again. And your why is what drives you to get out there again. And for me, it was, I don't want to work for somebody else. I want that flexibility to do what I want to do. And of course, and I know some people think I don't work. They're like, oh yeah, Tanya, you sleep all day. No, I really do work, I promise, on the days that I do work.
Is anybody a night owl and likes to sleep in? Okay. You can be a director and have that lifestyle and not get up at 5 a.m. for your job, or not work all night for your job. You can do that.
You can
So
do
I think
that.
that's you're a great example of that.
That is an example of that. But I mean, I love that because that is my why. I do that so that I don't have to work for somebody else, and so that I can dictate my own schedule and I decide what I want to get paid. But most of my unit has come from personal work. Personal work has always been a big thing. I mean, I remember when I was new, actually, I was kind of slow in the beginning. People don't believe that, but I mean, I was kind of just trying Mary Kay out. And then, of course, I still lived far away. I didn't live here when I started my business. We went through the whole process of finding me an adopted director when I was new. And, of course, that didn't really work out the way Holly intended that to work. So
I didn't want her exposed to people unless I approved.
exactly. So that's when Jennifer suggested, well, why don't you come to Nicholasville? She's like, you know, we'll do coffee or whatever beforehand. She's like, come to Nicholasville. Of course, I showed up my first meeting in my suit that I thought was great. It was pants and everything, but still nobody said anything to me. I got better over the years.
I'll never forget the miniskirt, the flip-flops. Oh my gosh, I thought, Cindy Williams just says that they'll figure it out as they go up. So just love on her. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna love on her. And look at her now. And she looks sharp. The flip-flops are gone, the miniskirt and the pants are gone.
It's all gone. But, you know, the funny thing was, you know, like I said, finding those personalities, because when I came, that was when I'd done my first Power Start. And I remember I got my recognition for that, and I was a big prize person too, like Tina was. I'd say, now Holly, I got this, 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 and this. Are you giving that at meeting this week? You know, and she'd be like, okay, yeah, Tanya, I'm working on that. So the next week I'm like, okay, I earned this and this and this. You didn't bring that last week, so are you going to bring it this week? I would remind her every week of what my stuff was. You know, I knew what it was. But, you know, it did, and it kept moving, and it's so funny you're talking about making a decision, because I heard you say that earlier, because through my first year of teaching, I did have that moment of, am I doing the right thing? You know, is this where I'm supposed to be? Is this my job? Is this what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life? And I remember that because I called Holly, and I was kind of having that moment, too, of, you know, am I really supposed to do that? And it was so funny. They had just went to leadership in Atlanta, because I remember the conversation, because it was after school that day. You know, you have that turning point. You know where you were at. You know what you were wearing. I remember what car I was driving. I was in the parking lot at school because it was the end of the day. And I remember she called me and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We just had leadership convention in Atlanta. And oh my gosh, this happened and that happened. And she goes, and I've got my 5 top people on my list and you're one of my top 5. She goes, and I know you're going to have your first free car this year. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, because like I said, it's learning those personality styles and how to get people excited. And that got me excited because I'm like, oh, I'm in the top 5. Ooh, that's exciting. Which that year it was. I mean, it was the year I did quarter sales and the car and everything. But, you know, just hearing that and your people that you're working with, pouring into them, you know, giving them that praise and recognition, they hear that too. And that helps propel them up. But that's kind of where I started from there. And then, as we always say, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to think about this. So our entire future national area of 300, we're 358 consultants strong in our future area, and our goal is to get to at least 500 by seminar and to explode our area so you guys can have your own cars and your own suits. That all of these women, almost 358 women, came from one class that I tried to book for 2 years. Somebody said no. A lady that told me no for 3 years. a warm chatter I met at a store at Doll Hairs, and a class that was four lines down for me. That I had just been doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was working in faith even when success wasn't evident, even when I couldn't see what was happening. I worked in faith and just knew that the nationals and the directors told me this is what it takes to be successful, and I just did what they did. I just did what they said to do. So I want you guys, we wanted to paint this vision so you guys can see. You've probably got some no's in your life, and you've probably got some people that have put you off. So that might be the people in the future that are just going to explode with growth. That you have got to keep going no matter what they say. Because it might take you having a pink Cadillac in your driveway for that person to realize, oh my gosh, wow, I'm going to take this seriously. So give it up for our four beautiful directors. All right, let's go. Stand up. Everybody stand up. All right. I'm going to read a poem to you guys. I made you stand up because we're getting sleepy because all the blood is pulling out the butt. So we're moving a little bit. The coffee has started to slowly, it kicked in a little while ago, and now I can tell you're glazing over. So I'm going to read you guys a poem. It's called My Commitment as a Woman of Excellence, and this is from Diana Sumner. This is on my website. If you guys haven't been on my website, it's hollybrown.us, so not .com.us. And the password and the username are just Holly Brown. No spaces, no capitals. But you can print this off. And I love this. Anytime I'm having a bad day or somebody's been nasty or hung up on me, we were talking about we get hang-ups, right, directors? When we call them hang-ups. Yeah, so that's just part of it. So I read this poem and it gets me fired up. Y'all want something that will fire you up? I was talking to one of our top people listening to Alicia Keys or is it Alicia Keys? Yeah, Girl on Fire. Did y'all listen to that song? You crank that song up. All right. I'm a part of the Fellowship of Excellence. I've stepped over the line. The decision has been made. I won't give up, shut up, let up until I have stayed up, stored up, paid up, and prayed up. I won't look back, let up, slow down, back up, or be still. My past is redeemed. My presence makes sense. My future is secure. I'm finished and done with low living, colorless dreams, small vision, cheap living, and dwarfed goals. I now live by faith, lean on His presence, labor by power, and live by prayer. I cannot be bought, compromised, detoured, lured away, turned back, deluded, or delayed. I will not flinch in the face of sacrifice, hesitate in the presence of fear, negotiate at the table of the enemy, or meander in the maze of mediocrity. From this day forward, my banner will be clear. When you see me, you will see a woman of excellence. Repeat after me. I am a woman
A woman
of excellence.
of excellence.
Woo!